Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez back again. If you watched me on my last live stream during my birthday even, trying to do this live, and I fully embarrassed myself because what I should have done was prep the whole process prior to the live stream, but I got tied up doing other things and I tried to do it on the fly. It did not really work out so well, so I am going to re-demonstrate the process here on this video. The idea is to create templates. Now, often when you go to, say, an album site or any of the very fancy album creating type software packages, they provide you with Photoshop or PSD files that are basically templates. They have multiple windows and all sorts of different components that you can use to create album pages. Really fabulous for you wedding photographers who still create albums, actual albums that you open up. Imagine that. Yeah, they still exist. So let's jump over to Photoshop. I'm going to walk you through a very simple one that you can just use as a template. For example, in this particular case, let's imagine that each page landscape is 11 by 14 and in the very center is an 8 by 10 window. And we're going to drop images in that window perfectly, by the way. All right, see you in a second. All right, so here you can see the basic template that I created, but let me walk you through the process of creating an actual template. So simply, you just go to File and New, and we'll change it maybe to some other dimension. How about just a letter size, 8.5 by 11. And we'll make this one vertical, okay? And one important thing, 300 ppi if you're going to print these on a Canon printer, or 360 ppi if you then plan to print this on an EPSON printer. That is the native pixel resolution that the drivers on these printers expect you to feed them. So your images that you prepare should be made with that particular count of PPI. All right, let's go ahead and keep it at 300. And so basically this is a blank document. We're gonna drop a couple of shapes in here. And you know what, let me throw a background on this. Let's do we're gonna make this a little bit fancier. Let's drop a dark red, maybe, I don't know, more wine color red, like right there maybe, and near black. So we'll sample that red that we just created and slide the indicator down to almost black. And then now we're going to go ahead and do a gradient. We're going to just drag our mouse down, and there's our gradient. Now we have a nice little template for pages. And here's what you do. You're going to create some shapes. So we're going to use our rectangle tool, and let's just pick a sort of a shade of middle gray so that we can recognize what these shapes are. We'll use these guys that you bring down from the top. As you can see, I can place them anywhere I want as a starting point for our shape. Let's make sure that we are snapping. You see that? Snap to guides. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to click and drag and say we want to make a shape like that. And then maybe from here out to the edge, and then maybe a nice horizontal one. And notice how it snaps, and that gives us a bit of a border around these shapes. Now if we feel like moving these, you just basically click on them and drag them up, and they will stay locked to that guide. So maybe right there, and then here you can put some text if you like. Now the idea is to then save this as a PDF. So let's go ahead and save it. Save as. We're going to save it to our computer, and we'll drop it on our desktop. We'll give it a name, photo template. Now keep in mind, I could have added any other graphic to that background that I wish to have. It could be some, different background graphics that you can download from anywhere and use those. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a bit of like a score around each one of these, and maybe even a drop shadow. So we're going to click on each one. We're going to go to our effect tab down here, and we'll choose stroke, and we'll just add a very narrow black one. And also we're going to add a drop shadow. Activate that. We want it to slant from the upper right to the lower left. And again, this is where you adjust size and all of the parameters. You can see right there how the shadow looks like. And I think that's pretty good. If we don't like the way that it is so heavy, you can adjust the sides, the spread, to whatever suits you. I think that's good right there. I tell you what, let's make the stroke a little bit lighter. Not so dark. Let's make it more visible. Not quite white. There you go, like that. All right, so now in order to add the same effect to the other 3 layers, click on Alt and drag the effect to each layer. Alt, drag. And now they all have the same effect. All right, let's open up 3 images that we can just drop here. I have some photos that I recently scanned and basically saved from Oblivion. We're going to go ahead and lay them out just randomly. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so we'll bring them out. They're all now separated from the top. I'm going to drag them one at a time. And then we can go ahead and close that. Drag this one out. Close that. Basically, this represents 3 generations of the Mooney family at the same Catholic school. So we're going to go ahead and decide, okay, this one seems to fit better on this layout here. So we're going to bring this down. And then these can go, let's say, right here. And then maybe we can do this one vertical. It doesn't really matter. So now we have to clip them. And here's what you do. This is what you do with any template, any PSD template. So you're going to go to your layers, okay, right here. And you want to be able to take each one of these shape layers and drop that image in its place. So let's go ahead and bring this up so we can see more of what's happening here. So let's say this one here is going to go to this shape. So I'll drag this down and put it right above that shape. This one here is going to go to this shape. You see the shape is on the midpoint on the right. So we're going to bring it down and drop it here. I could have done that when I first began doing this, but you know, I'm just demonstrating to you how you would go about doing this. And then the bottom one can just stay with that particular horizontal shape. Now, let's go ahead and clip them because really right now they're just floating above. So we'll begin with this one, the top one. So holding the Alt key down, bring your mouse until it just hovers right between that cutoff point right here. You see the little arrow? That's the clipping indicator. Clip. See that? Now it's behind. Somehow behind that window. So let's go ahead and enlarge this and make it fit. This is what you do. Now, you might be asking, boy, that's a lot of work. Yeah, but let me show you what you can do with this later. So let's go ahead and double click. And now that image is fitted behind that shape with that nice pretty border. Let's go ahead and click on this one and we'll locate it on the right side. Notice when I clicked on it, it immediately indicated it. Alt, hover down until you see that little clipping arrow and click. Now it's too small, so we have to enlarge it. You can enlarge it all you want. It doesn't have to be any specific size, just so that it is, then the layout makes sense on that particular shape. And I'll show you what you can do with those shapes a little bit later as well. Let's do this one. This is going to be a vertical one. We have no choice. Clip and then enlarge. And there they are. It should have been shot that way anyway, I would say, right there. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Now, let's just save this. I'm going to Control S, save it, close it. I have my other template that we're going to be using a little bit later. File, open, and we'll locate that template that we just saved, photo album template. We'll open it up, and there it is. There it is, ready to be printed again. Or, later down the road, you want to reprint it. There it is. So you can add stripes that you can then put text on. You can add anything. You can move these to another location by simply selecting the shape as well as the layer and just move it together. You see that? If you do not do that, you're going to move one or the other, not both of them at once. So you basically are going to choose either the layer. If you just choose the photo, it's just going to move the photo. All right, so that is about it for that. As you can see, it is really a very convenient way to do this. You can have your graphic here as well, and you can turn these layers on and off as you see fit. Now, why would you do that? Let's go ahead and close this. We'll save it again. Let's go ahead and jump here. Now, let me go ahead and add one more image to this. These are from negatives that I scanned from our living in Belgium and being very close to Paris. We often went to visit that beautiful city. Let's go ahead and clip it. And we have clipped it. But where did it go? You see that? I have many images stacked on top of each other. But they are all inactive at this point. They are all inactive. So let's go ahead, and here's the situation, folks. Let's say you want to create a template that has, in this case, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 images. Okay? So let's deal with this one at a time. Let's start at the bottom. And that's my daughter, Judy. This is Nathan's mom. And we're stopped off at a local cafe, and she's having a cold drink. And let's go ahead and undo her. And here's a shot of an abbey that I shot on film. And we'll go ahead and set it right about there. Wait a minute. It's not clipped. Let's go ahead and clip it. Boom. Now we can go ahead and adjust the crop. Right about there. It's a little bit tilted. So we'll tilt it a little bit. Double click, boom, that one is done. Next one. That one is not clipped either. Wow. Let's go ahead. Hit Alt, hover, get the clipping icon, and clip. Let's go ahead. Wow, this one is huge. So we will crop it down and make it fit. And I think it's a shot of a pigeon. Yes, it is. And there's some signage back there. We'll go crop that off. We'll enlarge it, make it a little bit bigger, right about there. It's probably right here, maybe. Using the rule of thirds, how about that? Double click, that one is clipped, ready to be used. Undo that, let's open up this one. Oh wow, look at that, another scan that needs clipping. We'll bring it down. So I am making, in this case, I believe is 6 pages of 11 by 14 with 8 by 10 windows, and that's going to be printed and made into an album. So we'll straighten this out. It's a little bit crooked. Manual shooting back in those days, yeah, not a perfect situation for most, especially me. So I think that's it for now. No, there's one more. And this one is like, what the heck is this? Well, let's go ahead and clip it. Clip, and it's even worse now. Look how huge this is. We'll have to bring it down. This particular scan was made at a huge level of resolution. So it took into account even the grain structure. You can see some dust. I never cleaned it up. Let's do that right now. Show you one trick that you can do in Photoshop. You click on that spot healing brush, make it a little bit bigger, and just drag, and it goes away. It samples the adjacent pixels and repairs that area. And there you go. So what do you do with this? Well, imagine that you're going to print this. You do not need, say, 6 files. All you need is one single file with all of those images stacked on top of each other and positioned the way you want them to. That's all you have to do. All of the prints that come out of that printer will be 11 by 14 with a centrally located 8x10 image. Number 1. Number 2. Oh, we have to size this one. We forgot to size this one, folks. Let's see, what do we have here? Seems to be a rather humongous image. Seems to be like an altar boy at the cathedral, lighting up the candles. Okay, there you go. Getting ready for Mass. Right there. Okay, now we're ready to print this set of 6 pages for our album. So we begin with this one. File, print, file, print, file, print, file, print, and so forth. And file, print, and file, print. That's all you have to do. You can put your logo down here, Rodriguez Photography, and have that be part of this basic file here. In other words, these 2 files, the background. Actually, you can add color to the background. Let's do that. It'll be kind of weird, but we'll do that anyway. And as you can see, that does not look good at all, does it? But you see what I mean. Let's go ahead and add a bit better color. Boom, like that. But, you know, that looks horrible. Let's leave it as white. But you get what I mean. You get my drift. So this can also have a score or some sort of effect around that central window we created. So we can go ahead and do a drop shadow if we wish. You know, that just shows you what you can do. It's not necessarily something you may want to do, but it shows you that you can actually do that. Stroke, we'll leave this one, in this case, black. We'll do outside. Outside stroke. See, big and very, very small. Just to kind of pop the image away from the background. And that's basically it. You can save this file, save it as, then give it a name that you can go back, and then you still have your original basic file available, okay, without any images inserted into it. You can use that file. You can use any type of template arrangement that you want to create. All you got to do is reopen them in Photoshop, drop the images in place, and then size them, mess around with them. And that's how these earlier, I don't know about now whether they are still available, but the album creation type softwares that were being sold, maybe 2010-ish and 15, right around that area. I haven't seen too many of these available lately, but that's how they were being used. Basically, you had a ton of templates that you can then use and allow you to then create album pages, any size album pages you would like. And you can send these by email to any of the album creation, professional creation type companies that create these albums for you. They can be leather bound and all that fancy stuff. But anyway, just trying to show you that this is actually possible. Now you can just change that particular template to whatever you want. You see that? That's all it takes. We'll pop back to the center and we will go ahead and save it. And that is now saved. It can be brought back up as many times as you wish. All right, you know, as you can see, these can be a bit intricate. It's a bit difficult to show you all of the different aspects because it's a very step-by-step type process. And you have to realize that to set something up like that for the convenience of later use, it takes a bit of work and a bit of design. You could make an infinite number of templates, design many different ways. And of course, if you wish to, you can also on the fly adjust these so-called windows or cells to fit your images better. The final result will be a file that contains all of the images that you plan to use on all of these album pages without having to go through, say, 20 different separate files just because you want 20 different pages with different images. All right, that's it for now. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And until the next time, of course, happy printing. Bye-bye.